What's up, Geeks and Gamers? And this is dedicated to the person that keeps on going after everyone on the Geeks and Gamers channel because he has no other way to get attention to his channel. It's Odin. Try holding it that long, I dare ya. And welcome back to yet another box office breakdown video. So sorry that it is coming in late, but I literally just got in from my trip to Florida, and so therefore everything else got kind of pushed back and got delayed. Didn't bring any of my stuff with me because I just wanted to make sure I was able to stay as focused as I could. But anyway, we are now back, and this weekend, that's right, this weekend is all about us. No, seriously, it's all about you and me. No, it's actually about the movie Us, which has done amazingly well. Now, if you listen to a bunch of the, box office and, mediaites, they'll say, oh my gosh, it's breaking so many records and the record breaking. Let's just be honest. It's making a lot of money on a very small budget, and it's going to do very well by the end of its run. But also, it's #1 over the weekend, which means it has indeed finally knocked off Captain Marvel from its #1 slot, which means Captain Marvel is unlikely to take back the #1 spot, though, of course, obviously, a lot of things can happen. There just seem to be a lot of new releases coming out over the next couple weeks, especially right before Shazam, and then eventually Endgame, so just doesn't seem like it's going to be at least getting that #1 spot anymore, but it is still indeed making a lot of money, well on its way to reaching that $1 billion mark. I know a lot of people are still kind of hesitant, saying, oh, it could have a huge drop-off, could have a huge slowdown. Yeah, well, we're now in $900 million territory, so it's kind of a little bit harder to make that argument. I've been saying from the very beginning that when you look at the first 2 weeks of any movie, you're usually able to indicate how much it's going to make by the by the end of its run. I'm predicting between 1.2 to 1.5 billion. Now, obviously, it could be a little bit less, it could be a little bit more. Don't think it's going to go over or exceed 1.5 because it is slowing down quite a lot, especially in the foreign market. However, it is still doing well nonetheless. So that was our #2 movie of the week. And of course, another movie that's very popular for me to talk about on this channel is also Alita Battle Angel, which finally crossed a major milestone. Yeah, that's right. I'm going to throw out some media words out there. Oh my god, a major milestone. I'm going to talk about that in a little bit. But first, let's talk about Us. So Us opened up domestically with $70.2 million, which is absolutely insane. Foreign market, 16.7. You're going to see that pretty much, that kind of a split. This is a movie made for American audiences, and so therefore it's going to do pretty well here, especially for a rated R horror film. It's going to do very, very well. I would not be surprised to finally see it at some point break some actual records of, the top 3 and the top 2, but, if you talk about just original storytelling and all this, and you break down all these other factors, then it's #1. Okay, I got you. We can pretty much break records if we try and tear down anything, but as far as, highest grossing for rated R film, that's pretty much as far I'm going to give you a stretch. So I don't know if it's going to reach quite that level, but it's going to be up there in ranking-wise, because it is doing very well, and it's got some very, very good good ratings from both audiences and critics alike. And so 86.9, very, very good start to this film. This is the Jordan Peele, essentially his second, his sophomore outing, as it's been described, and that's a pretty good outing. Again, not only just from what everyone's been saying about it, but also for the box office perspective, this is pretty good. I mean, he's already outdone his first one, Get Out, which I personally liked. I do want to see Us at some point. I'm just not a big fan of scary movies, so I'm probably going to try and hold back for a little bit, but I hear it's actually pretty good. I hear it's a pretty good psychological thriller, though, of course, some people don't really like that because they expect actual horror, jump scares, and all that stuff, and of course, you also know the critics are going to be on the other side saying, oh, but there's the social relevancy and all of the, the subtext. Even though apparently Jordan Peele's gone on record trying to say, no, I just want to make a good horror film, but you go ahead and keep reading into that subtext because as long as you keep talking about my movie, probably means I'm going to get more money in the long run. So anyway, that is all about Us. Captain Marvel, though, again, it has now cracked $910 million, so very likely over the next couple weeks is going to reach that $1 billion mark. Probably not by next weekend, though, of course, a lot of things can happen. I just think that at this point, it's going to slow down enough to where it's probably going to stop around $1.1 to $1.2 billion by the end of its run. Everybody's going to be like, oh, just wait until it makes even more. No, this is a movie that's going to make the $1 billion mark. I mean, there's just too much money left out there that's been unaccounted for. There's just too much out there. And again, not trying to throw shade at my fellow YouTubers, but I'm not going to dive down the rabbit holes of, oh yeah, but so many of that is just from Disney itself, Disney buying the tickets. There really hasn't just been any actual substantial evidence of that. Oh, but what about all the tickets being bought up? Okay, well, I just found out the other day from someone in Australia that some Australian theaters actually will reserve the first, will reserve 20 seats out of an entire auditorium because they want to have them as holdover seats that people don't buy just in case they ever get to capacity. So knowing things like that and knowing there's probably other ways to be able to describe various things and have other answers, I'm not going to go down that rabbit hole. For those who want to continue to go down that rabbit hole, you are more than welcome to do so. I will not. I'm just going to look at the raw numbers here, and it's doing very, very well. Again, $580.8 million on the foreign market, domestically $321.4 million. Again, it's doing well. It's doing well, and as I said before, the reason why I got this one wrong is because I totally forgot the fact and totally was not trailing, or rather tracking the fact that this was a movie not made for comic fans, not made for the Marvel comic fans at the very least, not made for diehard fans, but rather made for the normie, made for the popcorn fans, the people who are going to see anything with MCU on it no matter what. Not to mention, this got so much more press and so much more coverage than any other Marvel film. Oh, well, that's because of you and all the YouTube channels. No, the media was already covering this a plenty amount before we started covering it. We started covering it because we started to notice, hey, there's a lot of spin about this film. There's a lot of protection being put around this film. Why is this the case? Oh, and then as soon as we dug a little bit deeper, oh, there's an agenda they're trying to protect. Now it all makes sense. And again, they can continue to make these kind of movies and they continue to make money, but over time, the MCU fans, the normies, will eventually get old. Eventually they'll say, okay, we don't want this kind of stuff anymore because guess what? We just want to have a good time at the theaters. And I'm not saying that you did not have a good time at the theaters with this movie. I'm just saying you also still cannot deny the objective fact that, objectively speaking, the writing was just not very good. So anyway, this is definitely going to make $1 billion. I know there's some people in the comments saying, you're wrong, it's not going to make $1 billion. How dare you? You're just a Disney shill. Trust me, I've made plenty of video going after this movie, saying how I didn't think it was going to reach $1 billion, how I thought it was going to cap out at 650. I mean, my early estimates had this between 450 and 650. It has now smashed those estimates, and it's because I just was not tracking the audience correctly. Again, obviously, I've learned from that mistake. But at the same time, too, now that I've seen that, and now that I'm following the actual raw data we have coming in, it's just... Again, I gotta follow it where it goes. The other movie, though, that, as I said, people are going to want to hear me talk about is Alita Battle Angel, which hit a huge milestone because it is now very close not only to $400 million, but also it has surpassed. It has finally surpassed Solo: A Star Wars Story, which I know is a huge victory for a lot of people because Solo sucked and was over budget and didn't make any money. Alita Battle Angel was not made for nearly as much and is likely going to end its theatrical run a little over. I would say that max $410 million, though to be honest, I would be surprised if it's around $407 million, just because there's just not a whole lot left. There's not a whole, there's not too many theaters or markets left for this film to really make any more money. Now, what does this mean for sequel territory? Here's the thing. It really all comes down to two people, James Cameron and Robert Rodriguez. If they are on board, I know Robert Rodriguez has gone on record saying he is on board for another sequel. It's really all about James Cameron. If James Cameron wants to go off in, Avatar land and continue to make, sequel after sequel after sequel of a movie that, when everything is said and done, was mediocre at best, terrible story, a story that's been done better countless other times beforehand with weird ponytail stuff. I mean, it's just, yeah, I'm sorry. Like, please stop doing that and do more of this, because there aren't many movies out there that everyone's like, hey, yeah, I actually kind of want to see a sequel to this. I kind of want to see where this story ends. Obviously I could read the manga, I could, watch the anime series, but at the end of the day, this is a story that I really like seeing on the big screen, that I really want to see on the big screen again. I want to be able to see the sequel in Dolby. I want to see in Dolby, 3D, because I thought the 3D was actually pretty good, for the Dolby at least. And with all that being said, I just honestly think that this is going to end up making back its money, not at the box office, because as I said, the basic break-even number is around $430 million. I know that everyone's going to show, but there's these ranges and these people saying, well, based on the markets, it only has to make this much or it needs to make this much more. When it all comes down to it is that the basic break-even number, which means that it's going to have to basically, by the end of its run, the studio only gets about 60% of its entire box office total. If it made $430 million, that means it would have made not only what it spent on production budget, but also anything extra that they spent on marketing, depending on how much marketing they spent. This film, again, if it was all by the standard numbers, would have to have made around $430 million to do that. It's going to probably fall about $25 million short, which it could make up. Again, in the DVD, Blu-rays, I know a lot of people are still waiting for those DVD, Blu-ray release dates to come out to buy it on digital. Wide other range. I mean, again, there's plenty of still options. There's plenty of options for this film to continue to make money, and I think that it's going to be justifiable in making a sequel. As I said, in previous videos, if you have a movie that came out years ago now at this point called Live, Die, Repeat, or Edge of Tomorrow, which had one of the worst marketing campaigns in the history and made less than this money did, and it just got greenlit for a sequel that people have been actually really wanting because the movie was really good. This is following a lot of the same tropes. The big difference here is that Fox, of course, is now owned by Disney, or at least the assets from Fox are owned by Disney, and James Cameron technically owns the IP to this. So it's really going to be on James Cameron about whether or not we see a sequel or not. Really hope James Cameron has heard the fans, sees the passion of the fans who really want this, and maybe they're able to make it for a little bit less money, but also maybe they're able to try and market it a little bit better to American audiences. Even though the American audience might go see it and say, oh, I don't really like this, if you market to them just a little bit better, they might be a little bit more open to go and see it in the first place. But anyway, guys, that's going to be it for me. I know it's a little bit of a quick one as far as the movies are concerned, but Alita Battle Angel, again, getting very close. It's going to cross the $400 million sometime this week. Very, very glad to see it. But of course, biggest thing out there, it finally has surpassed Solo. Solo made around $396 million worldwide. And anything that surpasses Solo is a win in my book. Captain Marvel, it's going to make $1 billion. Can't wait to hear your thoughts on that and read your comments on that. And also Us. Have you seen Us? This is the big new movie of the weekend. Been hearing a lot of things about it. Some people like it. Some people think it's meh. Some other people say, I don't really understand the hype behind Jordan Peele. I think that he's a very talented director, writer. I think that he is able to build worlds. Can't really say much for the Twilight Zone series that he's working on because I think that's an entirely different animal. Also, it's a series that I just don't want to see rebooted because I think the original is perfect as it is, but that's just me. So I would love to hear your thoughts on this and all the movies that we talked about today. Also, please subscribe to our channel. Again, there are people out there, as you saw in Jeremy's videos. I've only been able to catch a little bit of Jeremy's videos last couple days, but as you saw, he made a fake video that was meant to get people talking and meant to get, oh, look, we got him saying all these kind things about The Last Jedi and about The Force Awakens, and now they're going crazy over it, and they're cutting videos together on Reddit and everything else, and they're buying into it. So there are crazy people out there that want to see this channel, want to see people like Jeremy fail. So please give us a like, give us a subscribe. Also, go check me out over at Odin's Movie Blog because, lately the channel's been kind of in the slump because I'm not covering a lot of topics that other people are talking about. So your subscription would really mean a lot to me, I know. And of course, the Geeks and Gamers team as well. So guys, seriously, thank you so much for watching. Like this video, subscribe. You're all amazing, beautiful people. Have a wonderful day. And as always, God bless.